We're back, baby.
We are back, and it's long overdue.
Yes, I think it's been about 4 weeks. It was a painful wait for us.
Yeah. Well, and I sincerely was stressing every single day we couldn't record. I'm like, people are going to leave. They're not going to listen to us anymore.
Oh my God, this is a really good beer.
Is it?
Yeah.
I got it because of the can. So it's called Brony. And yes, it's like the bro pony.
Dude, it's really good.
And it shows a blue guy in glasses with wings.
And it has that little pentagram on it, but it's reversed, so it's the devil pentagram.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like a really pretty can.
That's going to be
But
my
it's
talking point later. Southbound, when you look it up, there's a reverse pentagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, funny.
But this is a double dry hopped double IPA.
This is really good.
Nice.
I thought this was just a troll beer, but this is like one of the best ones we've had, in my opinion. Yeah.
All right. That's a glowing recommendation from Cleet.
Yeah, I don't give many.
He does not give many. But seriously, guys, we apologize. We've been gone for so long. It was, to say the least, it was a shitty October.
It's the worst October I've had in my life, probably.
I feel ripped off because that's my favorite month ever.
Yeah, I know. I was so excited. I was thinking about subjects we were going to cover for October, all the Halloween themes. And all of a sudden something happened. I'm going to explain exactly. So I play a video game called League of Legends. Okay.
Yeah.
And, I had a little bit of a cough. But I didn't care, I don't really go see doctors that much, but...
Oh my God, that is delicious.
I'm sitting there playing this game. It's so good. I'm playing this game, and, it requires a lot of attention and, there's a lot of variables, and you have to change your strategy as you play. And all of a sudden, I realized I couldn't concentrate, and I couldn't think. And I remembered, I'm like, oh, that flu that shall not be named has the symptom that you can't think well, And... yeah, I got tested the next day, one of those rapid tests, and they give you a result within an hour, which is really cool, right, in the parking lot. And I tested positive for that flu.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was not good.
Flu.
It was probably the sickest I've ever been. I was bedridden for 2 days.
Yeah, it put me down for one day. I had it way back when. But yeah, one day, literally, it just was like the worst back pain I ever had. It's just like you got hit by a truck, and then I lost my taste, obviously, for 2-3 weeks, but. Then it came back, but I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I was told to go to the ER by a doctor, but I didn't. So
oh, really?
Went to an urgent care. It's a funny story. I'm not going to get into it, but I survived.
Good. Well, yeah, I mean, so that was one of the reasons, that we couldn't record. But then, we had my whole shit show that happened up and down. So, the first thing that happened was October 5th. I had 2 pugs, and one of them died on the 5th, just suddenly. Yeah, I was... She had gotten sick earlier that week. We'd taken her to the vet, and they were like, oh, it might be a UTI. And really lethargic, so they sent us home on some antibiotics. And I was snuggling with her that morning, and it's disgusting, but she diarrheaed all over and just sat there and laid in it. And so I moved her, and she wasn't moving, so I called my wife. She took her to the vet. And within 2 hours, before I could even get there to say goodbye, she just died.
That's so
in her
sad.
arms. So I was, crying the big man tears with snotty nose. Dude, it destroyed me. So that was the 5th.
Well, if you go back to our previous episode where people are about to die, a lot of them say that their pets will rejoin them in the last couple hours. I like to think about that, know? Because I would be heartbroken if my cat Buddha died. And I'd like to imagine she'd come back and be like, hey, Cleet, you're going to see what I'm seeing over here. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good.
You're not going to enjoy it.
You're not going to enjoy this.
This is not a good place.
So we had 4 dogs. We have 3, but I in my opinion, we lost the most loving, well-behaved one. Now we're stuck with all the shits. So, but anyway, then on the 11th of October, my second son was born, which was a good thing. So my wife gave birth natural, unmedicated, which is crazy. She was like Wonder Woman.
Wow.
But he was born great. His name's Morgan. He was born 6 pounds, 10 ounces. Spent only 2 days in the NICU. Got to come home. So that was a really good thing. And then shortly after, my toddler got really sick. Really sick, fever 103, that whole thing, snotting, coughing, all that, which got my son sick, my newborn son sick, and now he has RSV. So then we had to take him back to the emergency room, back and forth. He's on oxygen tanks at home.
Man.
So that's been going on. It's been extremely fun. And I sent you a picture. I finally got my 12-foot skeleton.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I got it.
I was telling him I was going to steal it. You imagine yours disappears, you come over for the podcast, and you see the identical one in my yard.
Your house would be the first place I'd go.
Yeah, I couldn't keep that in the front yard.
I'm going to go to Cleet's house. Someone stole my skeleton. But my mother-in-law knows one of the stalkers at Home Depot, and I guess they got 2. It's the only 2 the store had gotten all season long. and she was able to get there before they sold it. So very lucky, but I got it. But then a couple days later, the wind knocks it over, and the arms broke off and the head broke off. So we had to fix it. It still works, but I was like, this fucking month, I finally get it. The wind knocks it over, but it's the coolest fucking thing.
We had a crazy windstorm this month. I forgot about that.
All the kids and families were taking pictures of it in the yard. It was like we were the coolest house in the neighborhood. It was fucking awesome.
For only a moment until disaster struck.
Right. And then I turned 30. I left my 20s behind on the 22nd. I turned 30. I don't know how to feel about it. So yeah, that was my month. That was the month. That's why we couldn't record, everybody, because we were dealing with the known flu to the entire world and all sorts of shit. But
yeah. So in my delirium, while I was sweating in bed, just trying to feel a little bit better, I was surfing the web, and I saw an ad for a movie, or it was a website saying top 10 movies. And I watched a movie. I was very surprised. I really liked it. Okay. And I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I think this is going to be a little bit controversial because I went online. Not a lot of people liked it. So this movie is called Southbound. It was made in 2016, and the premise of the show is essentially like it's like one of those shows where you actually have to maybe like Google it after and be like, what do you think the meaning of this movie is? And
I kind of like those movies because
makes you think.
It's not as obvious. Like it doesn't end, and you're like, oh, I know exactly. You're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah. So it's predominantly, if I were to interpret it, it's like you're on a highway and there's no exits, and you're basically driving towards hell, trying to outrun the bad deeds you did in your life. Whoa. And all of the storylines are interconnected, which is pretty interesting. And
there's like a bunch of little stories then?
Yeah. Okay. And like these demons, like they get to this town where these demons just torment them. My favorite scene, I don't want to ruin this too much, so I'm going to be very vague. I think you should all watch it, is this guy is on a cell phone. He's trying to save a woman's life, but he's in an abandoned hospital like Dawn of the Dead, and things don't go to plan. And afterwards, he's on Bluetooth while he's doing this. They're walking him through these steps, and afterwards, when it's not successful, he just hears maniacal laughing of a group of people just laughing. I don't know how to describe it other than maniacal. Like they're so loud. Like,
typical horror, like things just don't go to plan.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was a very good film. All right, so I have a Southbound quote that I really liked on here. I always just like literature, I'm really into creepypastas, and this really is what inspired my podcast, was creepypastas. Britt knows I used to have a YouTube channel where I used to narrate them.
Mr. Evil Deeds.
So while these people are driving down this highway, there's a DJ that talks on the radio. I'm going to try to give this justice while I read it, but let's go.
You've got a pretty good DJ voice, so you can do it.
This one was really good.
Just get your really good radio voice out.
Now you made me nervous. Oh, boy. Regret, remorse, amends, and atonement. Well, that's life, right? This next one is for you. For all you lost souls racing down that long road to redemption, and all you sinners running from your past but heading straight into the pit of darkness up ahead. We're all on the same endless highway. The one with no name, no exits, looking for a way out of tonight and into tomorrow. Well, they're going to try to stop you, but you gotta say, fuck it, and keep moving, because this is your highway. And today might just be the day you finally outrun those wicked demons once and for all, and I will be right here with you, making sure that you get where you're going. Because in the end, we're all just trying to find our way home, right?
God damn.
God, I love that part of the movie.
My chair almost fell.
Yeah, you almost fell out of your seat.
That was that good. I almost fell out of my fucking seat. Yeah, I'll have to watch it because that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It's like the VHS films.
Yeah, they're the same people who made VHS.
Well, then I'm going to like it. Well, it's definitely going on my list. For my birthday, my mom got me this poster that has the top 100 horror films, and it's a scratch-off. So you watch it and you scratch the little thing off. We're a couple in, and there's some on there that I've never heard of. Like we watched one the other day called Trouble Every Day or something, and it was like a super B film, and it was not great. I don't know how it made it on the poster, but I had never seen it, and I had to like literally find like the deepest, darkest parts of the internet to even be able to watch it because it wasn't on any streaming service at all.
Interesting.
But I finally watched the movie Antlers. Remember that movie?
I don't know what that is.
So it was advertised pre-Crazy Flu, right, from Guillermo del Toro, and it's a movie about the Wendigo. And they announced it, but then the whole thing came out. They shut everything down. They delayed it. It finally came out like 2 weeks ago. Me and my brother went and saw it. It was really good. I really liked it. It's really gruesome.
Huh.
And I
Interesting.
think you'd like it. But yeah, so anyway, so Southbound and Antlers, I think you should check them both out. They just finished the new Evil Dead movie. They just finished filming it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait,
I
is
guess
it a sequel off the new remake?
I'm not certain. But
I love that remake. Sorry.
Yeah, but they said they've used the most fake blood out of any movie. It's like hundreds of gallons worth. So I'm already excited.
I want to see me some Deadites, man.
Right. But, okay, before we go on, though, I did get Cleet a little gift that I wanted you to open on air to get your live reaction about it. It's not like something super special. I saw it, and I'm like, Cleet needs to have this.
Just a giant dildo.
Double-sided.
Double-sided.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't reuse boxes or bags.
Just rip it. I don't care. It's been in our...
All right, hang on. I can't use this. I don't even describe this on air.
What you got there, Cleet?
Can you imagine that in a meeting? Oh my god. Is this a re-gift?
No.
I'm gonna give this to my brother.
That's just a gift for you, man. You had to have
I can imagine I could accidentally be using this at work on a Teams meeting.
I did think I'm like, just keep it out of your office, because if that's ever shown up on camera...
I can't believe that's not.
It's a mug of some sort.
Yeah, it's a mug.
It's an adult coffee mug.
It's an adult mug. I didn't know. It's
Twin Peaks.
That's funny.
Oh.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It was in Spencer's in the mall. You know, Spencer's, the crazy store. I'm like, okay, I have one too, just so you know. And I drank coffee out of it once. It's a bitch and a half to drink coffee out of that thing. So, just so you know. But anyway. Now that we've kind of covered why we've been absent, our goal obviously is to just get this back on track weekly. Got a lot of fun stuff we really want to do, and
I want to advertise specifically what I was thinking.
For sure.
I've been looking online. There's some things called icebergs. There's creepy icebergs. So a couple I want to cover is the
the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
The one that sunk the Titanic.
The concept of the iceberg is you see a lot on the surface, but as you go down under the water, it's just exponentially bigger. Mm-hmm. And so they have things like the conspiracy iceberg and the scary movie icebergs. Mm-hmm. And the further you go down, the more fucked up they get. You know, it's really interesting.
So our episodes will slowly start to get just more
darker. Yeah, I looked into some of these like scary movies, Britton, and when you get down to like level 8, because there's like 8 levels or something.
Is it like snuff films?
Supposedly.
Fuck.
You'd be surprised what movies were made.
We're gonna watch them on your box, not mine. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know if we could watch them like even legally, to be honest with you.
It gets that bad? They're not legal?
Yeah, well, we can describe like what they have on there, but some we will not Google.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Hopefully nothing else happens. Hopefully we got all that shit out of the way. We both had that stupid flu. For tonight's topic, we are jumping back into Reddit with the thread stating, what conversation or interaction with a physically normal stranger left you wondering if you just talked to something non-human or supernatural? Example, an angel, demon, ghost, alien, or time traveler.
So I picked this one specifically because we missed Halloween. Because it's like, you know, you get trick-or-treaters at your door. Or maybe you go to a Halloween party and you're looking at someone and they're trying to be something else. You know, they're holding a face that isn't their own. And it just made me think of Halloween. I'm a little sad we missed that in our previous themes.
Seriously.
And that's why I picked it.
That's deep, though.
Yeah.
That's a good topic. I gotta say, though, I'm extremely pissed off that we didn't get to record a Halloween episode or anything. But we'll just keep trucking along because we got... You know, Christmas and shit coming up. Who cares? But anyway. I don't know, man. The older you get, Christmas... I mean, look, it's reinvigorated for me because I have kids now, so that kind of brings it in. But Christmas is stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
I think my biggest, change in life that I've realized is that the concept of money has changed a lot for me. Like, does money really matter, you know? It's like... The only thing it really brings you is security, but you can't really buy your happiness with money.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest thing that I've learned getting older.
Like, the thing is, you can't live without it, but it's so stressful when you have it.
When you don't have it, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, money, it sucks. It sucks.
So the first one is from Take You Home, Kathleen. I was in my 20s traveling through Italy. So this person has money.
Yeah. More money, more problems in Italy.
Yep. I was on a boat trip around Capri when an old guy started chatting to me. Whatever the question was, I made some remarks about backpacking and wanting to stretch my money all the way through the lengths of my travels. And he responded that he would swap my age for all of his money. I felt like the world had stopped, holding its breath while I thought about my answer. It truly felt ominous and foreboding until I said no. I remember that feeling 30 years later. I imagine like you're just some old guy making a joke and you're like, I'll trade you my money for your youth. And this guy just starts stressing out and sweating. And he just sits there for like 15 seconds like, no, and then just like runs away.
This guy's like, just a joke, guy. You good?
You know that's not possible, right?
You having a heart attack over there?
Maybe he thought he was some weird alien or something. I don't know.
Well, this comes from Jimbo420. I was at a college dive bar on a Friday night. This place would get crowded, and I was an avid pool player. People knew me at parties and stuff because I'd always go out to play pool almost every weekend. So this guy is known for his pool skills.
Amen.
Here he comes, Mr. Pool Guy. I'd get money, free drinks, free beers for winning. I'd run the table. Sometimes I'd grab a random partner to do twos. Me and a random person versus two other drunk frat kids or something of the sort. Anyway.
Sounds conceited a little bit,
right.
But hey, maybe he's really good at pool.
Maybe. Anyway, this one spring night, the place is packed with a bunch of younger 21, 24-year-old kids, including myself at this college dive bar. I'm trying to find a partner to play with. In walks a man dressed in a tuxedo, way out of the norm for this place. Well-groomed white hair, dress shoes, looks like in his late 70s. I felt like I was playing pool that night with God.
It's like, this is a quaint place. Let's play some pool, eh?
Has this guy seen God? So God's a guy in a tuxedo with well-groomed white hair and dress shoes?
Yeah, who said God isn't a troll?
Okay.
He's just like, I'm going to go to this bar one night and I'm going to troll the hell out of these patrons.
That's fair. This guy just walked in ready to play pool. He's like, I heard you were the baddest bitch. Let's be twos. This guy did not miss a shot, and he was on my team. We played people at the bar until close, and kids were dropping money on the table trying to bet against us, thinking we'd lose at some point. But nope, this tuxedo man and I won every game. I'd never seen him at the spot since. It was the one and only time.
It's like, 8-ball, left corner, bow right in the kisser, win.
I like the comment. It's like a twist on The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It's like God went into a pool hall.
This one is from Mayonnaise Plantain.
Gross. Plantain covered in mayo.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it, Britton.
I'm not going to try it, Cleet.
That reminds me, like for our 100 sub thing, what we should do is we should get those the whiskey butter thing that we were talking about in the previous episode.
But we
So
already
we should
did
celebrate.
We already did like a prerequisite to that.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to put whiskey in butter, man.
Or we can just get a really good whiskey.
I like the whiskey butter because it's painful.
All right, we'll do it. We can do something painful to celebrate.
Yeah, I'm going to...
100 subs. I'm going to put myself through pain.
This actually happened recently. Dude was on the side of the road fiddling with his dick. I'm just kidding.
I was like, excuse me.
He was fiddling with his bike, and I could see the chain jumped off the gears.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, that was such like a 10-year-old problem for me.
Chain broke off. You're like,
Son
fuck.
of a bitch. I know a decent bit of bike maintenance. And recently, I'd been feeling guilty about passing people stranded on the road. I get that all the time. One time I was driving back from Moab. Okay, so this one time I was driving back from Moab. Stopped at a small town to get gas, okay? Really small town.
Like
And,
one gas station small.
So I'm going back up to the freeway, and this guy is just like, has his thumb out, right? And he's like trying to make eye contact with me, but I'm like looking the other way. And I just get on the ramp, and I see him just jumping up and down in rage. And I'm like, should I stop? And I'm like, no, because this guy clearly is not, like, if you're already pissed, like, I'm not going to stop and help you, you know?
Well, and he'd probably make some comment about how you passed him doing like 90 and slammed on your brakes reversed. I was going to leave you behind, but I didn't, so don't be pissed.
Yeah, maybe I should have stopped, let him get closer, and then, yeah, just drove off. So, back to the story. He felt guilty, so I stopped. Dude is clearly on some uppers and not totally in a good state of mind, but very polite and thankful as I examine the situation. I see it's not a simple chain off, as the chain is all twisted in the wheel. I needed a few tools. Fine, my place is down the block. We started walking there, and this guy is just tweaking.
Talking.
Yeah, this guy's just tweak talking.
Wow.
Tweak talking.
tweak talking?
Interesting. Anybody familiar with uppers knows the random rambling high energy that I'm talking about. Oh,
I'm not.
that's kind of like you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
my upper talk.
But the subject matter is heavy. His wife is in jail right now, and he's worried about taking care of his hearing-impaired daughter, but he's thankful he just got the state-of-the-art hearing devices and could watch the videos on YouTube, and he's checking himself in rehab next week because he hasn't been able to hold his plumbing job down with his drug use and. So he's just giving a bunch of crazy stories.
Not one time in that entire sentence was there a comma.
Yeah, that was tough to read.
That was a run-on sentence from hell.
That's probably how he was talking too.
Yeah, he's probably just going off on like the whole upper talk. He's like,
and afterwards he said, and the government is watching me. All the government. It was a type of rambling continuous as I dissect his bike. At some point, I comment of how nice this bike is. It's an old school mountain with baller components.
Baller.
Carbon fiber, everything. Super expensive shocks. It was probably like $2,000 to $3,000 bike.
It's stolen.
Frankly, I assume it's stolen.
Hey, see?
Yeah, right? I would too. And everything he's saying is a nervous, tweaked lie. He claims the bike is his wife's, and she used it when she was a pro racer in the early 2000s. I continue to figure it's a cover story, but note the timeline and age of the bike do line up. Anyway, I get it fixed and wish him well. He rides off into the sunset, and I immediately go inside and look up his name.
Just imagine like, la 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 la, thanks, bud.
He just happily ever after in rehab.
Driving off in his tweak-induced comments.
He's just talking to himself the whole time.
Speeding away, probably pedaling faster than anything.
The damn government's watching me. All the governments.
You can't stand still for too long, they'll get you.
The birds. The batteries. That's why we had to go.
That fucking rock is a speaker.
I find him on Facebook, and everything he said was true. What? I found the video of his daughter getting implants and can see a much healthier version of himself in frame.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah,
Maybe
it is.
He is just so stressed that he had to resort to drugs.
I find out he's been a plumber for years, and up until very recently, all his pics are him clearly not tweaked on uppers. I find his wife, who recently got a DUI and is in jail. I find her history and that she did race mountain bikes in the 2000s. I guess he wasn't an alien, but meeting him sure as hell was bizarre and something I'll never forget.
Yeah, I don't think you forget something like that.
It reminds me of like Pee Wee Herman thing, where he gets picked up by the trucker. She's like,
Large Marge.
there was a trucker who drove on this very night with this fog and drove off the Empire State Building. And when they pulled him out of the wreckage, his face looked like this.
That scared me.
I know. When I was a kid, I had to leave the room.
I gotta go right now.
I'll be brave. I'm like, no, Large Marge, and I'd run out.
I suddenly have to take a shit in the middle of this scene. No, don't pause it. Don't worry about pausing it. Just keep watching.
I had to take a shit, but now I don't, and I have to go right now.
Exactly. That kind of reminds me, the premise. We watched a movie last night, actually, on Netflix called The Guilty. Have you heard about that?
No.
If you want to watch a heavy movie that just makes you, like, stress the fuck out, watch it. It has Jake Gyllenhaal in it. It's about a 911 dispatch officer.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Okay.
It's very fucking stressful. It's kind of the same thing. I know a lot of people were like complaining about it. I thought it was really good. Like, it made me stressed. Like, I was sweating watching this film.
Oh, man.
So, all right. So this comes from Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda.
Story of my life.
Man, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
God, I wish I'd made better decisions.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, Cleet. I was working in Florida as a manager in a large chain of automotive dealers.
I can tell you
Humble
that
brag.
They're from Florida, so I know this is going to be a crazy story.
Fuck. That's true. It's like the Florida man thing. I was on the service side and dealt with the customers who had the most difficult issues or were upset. One day, an older man came in and I went for a quick test drive to assess his concerns with the vehicle. He was calm and polite, a very easygoing person. This is going to escalate so fast.
Yeah.
After speaking for a few minutes, he asked me if I liked magic. He then proceeded to start talking about where I was from. He didn't ask a single question, just began to talk. He narrowed down the area until he was within a 20-minute drive from the hospital I was born in. That hospital is an 18-hour drive from where that dealership was. After a few minutes, he said, "But you didn't live there very long. Moved south of the city of blank, right?" He was absolutely spot on. Then he started rubbing his eyes and kind of humming. He asked me how long I had lived in Norway. Then narrowed it down to the city I lived in for 8 years. At this point, I'm thinking he's some kind of weirdo who has done a background check on me, but how would he know where I lived while overseas? He said, "Do you believe in magic now?" On the return drive to the dealership, I was running every possible scenario through my head. Did a friend set me up? How did he know the name of the city in Norway? When we arrived, he leaned over and said, I'm just having some fun with you. I was in the CIA for years as a linguist. Now that I'm retired, I just use it as a party trick. He had me so confused. He honestly could have said he was some kind of psychic and I wouldn't have been able to argue.
Huh. I bet he did do a background check and he was lying.
Yeah. To be a linguist, though, like, you'd have to pick up on every, like, little accent. Like, every little, like...
Phonetic?
Yeah, phonetic. And you can narrow that shit down. Because, I mean, if you're in the
Sure, that
CIA,
makes
that's
sense.
your job.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. All right, so the next one is blue paper notes.
Ooh.
One day, my girlfriend at the time...
At the time is in quotations.
Could have been
Obviously
married, could have been married.
I don't
Britain,
think so.
why are
They're
you a
broken up.
pessimist?
Just wait.
They're probably in love.
Broken up?
Yeah. So he and his girlfriend... anyways. Okay, so they were doing an internship in Orlando, Florida. Yeah. We have been fighting a lot. We're on the
Still
brink
think
of
they're
breaking. Yeah, we're on the brink of breaking up. Brink, and it was just a really tough but pivotal. God,
Pivotal.
It was really tough, but a pivotal moment in our lives. There was a lot of growing that was about to happen.
That's disgusting.
Want to see some magic?
I can make it grow.
I'm gonna break up with you. Anyways, one day we were.
I'm a grower, not a shower.
That's what you think. Anyways, one day we were fighting about where to go to eat. That's how you know you're... Really? Does that happen?
Dude, have you never been in that? Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want
I
to
get
eat?
the I don't knows, but it's like, all right, I guess... I mean, but like fighting, do you consider that a fight?
No, I wouldn't call it a fight, but then like you suggest something and then no, and then they suggest something and it's no. It's
Just
like,
pick! Fucking pick! Just
the
screaming.
most genius idea is to name a restaurant, I don't care. Literally. What do you want to eat? I don't care. Cool.
Okay.
We're going.
All right, let's go. Cool. All right, we decided to walk to the Hurricane Grill.
That sounds good.
Seems like not a good name for a place in Florida. Which is around the corner from our apartment complex.
I hear it's windy there.
As we are arguing while we walk in, some random dude walks right up to us, gestures his hands out towards us for us to take his hand and says, "Come on, let's go in and I'll grab us a table. Let's talk."
First of all, did you say gestures?
Yeah, gestures.
Gestures.
Yeah, whatever. Alarms are going off in my head, and I'm trying to make sure that this guy isn't trying to drug us or hurt my girlfriend. But he seems safe and oddly confident.
First of all, if he's trying to drug you, he's not going to be openly like, hey, come on in, let me drug your ass.
Let me go to the back of the kitchen, help him whip it up for you. Smell my rag.
Smell like
This essential oil is called chloroform. He picked a table, ordered food, and just started having the deepest conversation with us about relationships, marriage, life, our personal goals. We were not drinking alcohol. At one point in the dinner, he looks over to me, starts fucking crying, and says, "You are going to accomplish everything you want, and more. Stop doubting yourself so much."
I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's just weird, man.
This guy's like, come sit at the table with me. And just starts bawling like a little baby.
Oh,
You're going to go far in
you're
life.
just doing so fucking good.
Stop being rude to yourself.
I think you need to talk better to yourself. It was bizarre because I could feel how much he meant that. It felt like he knew me. So I teared up too. Anyways, we finished dinner. He gives both of us a big hug, pays for everything, and then when we ask him if he needs a ride home or anything, he says, "No, it's okay." And then he just starts walking towards some bushes and trees.
What the hell?
Never to see him
It's like a forest nymph or something.
No, my home's pretty close. He just walks into the tree line.
Just pushes the bushes aside, crawls into his little hole. Imagine like this guy, because when they said, "Hey, let me pay for your food," and he's like, "No," imagine he's like, "Okay." It's just some hobo that comes in, gets all these free meals, and just throws out compliments.
I imagine like he's like, "No, I'm good," and then he just goes to the dumpster, jumps in, and just shuts the lid.
It's like, what the
Should we do something about this?
Oh, and just think about it. It's some crazy guy. It's like a perfect plan. Like you come out of the bushes in like your nicest clothes. You welcome people into your like open arms. You're like, "You're gonna get that car you've always wanted." And you like break down, and then you just crawl away into the bushes.
Call me Oscar. Wait, yeah, the Grouch.
This comes from Electric Pink Mango.
Yeah.
It's the best kind of mango.
Mm-hmm.
This story is hard to explain, but I still get shivers when I think of it. hard to explain. All right, so we're going to get a lot of details. He was a customer I was helping out. Honestly, there was nothing that really stood out with him. He was handsome, but in a normal way. He dressed normal, talked normal, was blandly friendly as you are with strangers. Just a normal upper middle class type guy. The only thing that really stood out was his blue eyes. Not in a goofy supernatural type way, he just had very, very blue eyes. This person has a crush on him.
He's had the bluest eyes I've ever seen, just like the sea.
It's like looking into the ocean. But for some reason, he made every hair on my neck stand on end. Alarm bells were going off in my head like crazy. All I wanted to do was hide. I have never felt this way before or since. Even when I was followed home by someone, I have never felt such gut-deep, you are in danger, as I did with this guy. After ringing him through, he reached out to shake my hand. This is not common at all here, but out of politeness I took it and shook, and I instantly got so nauseous I almost gagged. The moment I got nauseous, he just held my hand and smiled, and something in that smile made me absolutely sure he knew what I was feeling and he enjoyed it. I'm not religious in any way, but I remember thinking in that moment, oh fuck, is this the devil? After he left, I was so sick feeling I had to go to the back and sit down. Maybe his hand had poop on it.
I actually remember meeting this woman, because I'm the devil.
I'm not sure if he was a serial killer or what, but to this day I have never experienced something even close to that encounter. I absolutely felt bone-deep certainty that I was in some sort of danger. I felt every bit the prey. It's a hard story to explain because it's all based on feeling, so I haven't told that many people about it, but to this day, it is absolutely one of the scariest and weirdest things I've experienced. It's really not that hard to explain. I feel like she did a pretty good job.
When I went to community college, I had a sociology teacher, and he was talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, because it's big in Utah, and he was just saying, like, at least in his studies, he seemed like a kooky guy, but, you know, he seemed interesting enough. He said that, like, when people meet serial killers, sometimes they can just feel that something is off, and they should listen to their gut.
Well, I mean, they always say it's the person you least suspect, but, like, sometimes, I don't know. Is it, though? Maybe it's just such a gut feeling that you're like, I'm just kind of stamping this thing down. Maybe just listen to it a little bit more.
Yeah. I just saw a guy drinking out of a coffee mug that was tits. And he was just looking at me, going, mm-hmm. This is by Libra 00. I used to live in a very old house in the hills of western Maryland. It only had windows in the front and back of the house, not on the sides.
It's not super uncommon.
And when I asked about it, it was explained that the houses were built this way back then, so the people walking between the houses couldn't look in. We were renting from a friend of the family who owned the place, and before we moved in, we were warned that the house was special, and that we should be prepared for that, though no explanation was given as to what special meant. I came to find out that the house was, I won't say haunted, more like enchanted. Weird things started to happen there a lot. The weirdest by far happened a couple of months before I moved away. Across the street was an open field that quickly turned into foothills, and maybe 300 yards further on became a tall ridge of a mountain. There was some kind of antenna on top of the ridge, and it had a light that was always on at night. No blinking, just a steady white light all the time. One evening, I went out to use the bathroom. Yeah, it had an outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, my grandparents had a house like that.
Really?
Yeah, they were farmers. And happened to notice that the light on the ridge was off. I walked down the driveway a bit because I thought maybe there was a tree blocking it from this angle or something, but I was stopped dead in my tracks. Suddenly, the entire sky behind the ridge lit up. It was like someone had turned on extremely bright floodlights and they were reflecting off the snow to an overcast sky or something. But there was no snow on the ground, and it was not even slightly overcast.
It's the aliens.
Maybe, man. It was eerily quiet, even more than normal. That would creep me out.
Dude, that deadly silence is freaky.
Oh yeah, they talk about that in the woods when there's a large predator in the area. Like the woods will quiet down.
Mm-hmm.
That's just weird. Well, now I was really damn curious, so I continued walking down the driveway to see if I could get a better angle on it, only to see a guy come around the curve of the street from the left and approach me in a quick walk. This was a fairly remote neighborhood. There are 2 other inhabited houses on the street. We hardly see traffic, much less foot traffic, so this was unexpected. He got close enough. He said, "You don't want to go over there,"
I just took a shit.
in a cautioning tone. Well, it's not like I was going to climb the mountain in the dark, but why? But I said, yeah, it's weird. But I said, why? What's going on? I asked, trying to keep it conversational. Couldn't say, he said. But you don't want to be part of it.
That's such a weird interaction.
I know, right?
Don't go over there. I can't say why, but you don't want to go over there.
I like this response. Well, if you don't know what's going on, how would you know I don't want to be a part of it?
Just grilling this guy.
I asked. That's pretty weird. I gestured in the direction of the ridge and noticed the light was fluctuating a bit. Like
You're saying he gestured to piss me off.
Yeah, I am. Like a slow pulsing. No, that's weird as hell, and I'm a curious person. The guy then shifted to a darker, more ominous tone and said, your eyes aren't meant to see.
Wow. This guy's just challenging him. Don't go over there for some weird reason, because you can't handle it.
The way he said it made me think, you're meant human? And in retrospect, it was definitely a warning, maybe even a threat, and it almost sounded like a kind of ritual pronouncement, but I was oblivious in the moment. I looked back up at the light and said, well, I can see it just fine. What's the problem? I like this person. But when I looked back down, and the guy was just gone. In the space of maybe 5 seconds, I was looking away and he had disappeared.
Just crawled right back in the bushes, going back to that
It
restaurant.
was the same guy.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, there was a dumpster he could have gone into. I'm not sure. There's no direction he could have gone, no matter how fast he was running, that he could have gotten out of my line of sight in that amount of time. I was already kind of freaked out by the weird lights, but this really pegged my freak out meter. I went back inside and explained to my roommate what had just happened, encouraged him to come out and see for myself. But by the time we got outside, whatever was going on behind the ridge was gone. I figured that the guy was just off his rocker, and there must have been something entirely normal going on over there. So I went online and looked at Google Maps for the area. There was nothing on the other side of the ridge. No roads, no buildings, no signs of civilization whatsoever. Just a blank spot on the map. I switched to satellite view and saw nothing but more wooded ridge lines behind it. To this day, I have no idea what the hell was going on or why I was warned away from it. But it feels like I had been sent, some kind of messenger to keep me from blundering into something terrible. See, like I would have, if that happened to me, I would have to go. Like, it's just how, it's like my psychology. Like, it's already creepy. Some random bozo comes over here and is like, don't go there. It's not ready for your brain to comprehend. I'd be like, well, I'm going to fucking go right there
It's
now.
like you just sealed the deal. I'm going.
I'd look back. He's gone. I'm like, cool, I'm going to go.
You're like, wow, he made it easy.
I might grab my gun in that case because I'd be afraid some creep would, like, jump me in the woods. But, you know, I'd go check it out.
Okay, this comes from KKM 2016. I used to live in this quiet neighborhood where I pretty much knew everyone by face, not personally. I was outside in front of a church that recently burned down. I used to attend church a lot as a kid and stopped after a while because of the whole concept of it to me. Your body is your temple. You can pray to God anywhere you go, church demanding 10% of your profits yearly, people in the church acting holier than thou,
Hang on.
etc.
This sounds familiar. I think that this might be a Utah religion, because 10%.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to hear that phrase when I was growing up.
Yeah, this is like the LDS.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is very familiar. I was smoking a nice little joint outside and generally just passing the time before I went back to my house when this lady, black, says she was Puerto Rican, which I am, passes by me and looks at me and then just full-blown initiates conversation with me while I was on my phone watching anime and smoking, you know, as you do on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the most social person, but if you talk to me while I'm distracted and you keep on talking to me, I will eventually stop what I'm doing and talk to you. So it just takes a minute.
Yeah.
You just walk up to this guy and just keep talking, and eventually he'll recognize and start talking back to you.
How's the weather? What's your name? What are you doing here?
Are you watching anime? You smoking a joint?
That's illegal here.
Is that why the church burnt down? Slip a good old joint in there? So I clip my joint, put my phone away, take my headphones out, and conversate with this woman. I had nowhere to be, so why not? Oh, so he had headphones in the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay. As to hear the anime. She starts saying to me how I have this very dark cloud over me and that I needed to be more positive in life and also to get back to praying. Mind you, I had been teetering between atheism and religion for a while now. Somewhere along my time after leaving church, I stopped praying. For a while, I thought I was alone and that there wasn't a heaven or God.
He was just going southbound.
Right.
Hey!
This lady told me all about heaven and how satisfying she felt to be seeing me. She told me how my grandma, which was dead since I was 2 or 3, had told her about me and that she misses me. Now, at this point, I'm genuinely freaked out and I ask her if you know my grandma, what's her name? This is the joint talking now. She point blank tells me my grandmother's full name. Goosebumps at this point. She tells me how my grandma has been watching over me and that she loves me and my siblings dearly. She says that I won't be with her for a long time, though, and that I should continue living my life to the fullest. I feel like that's a generalization. And you can say that, hey, your grandma's watching over you.
But she said her name.
Full name.
Beatrice Mantooth.
It's a hell of a name, dude.
Thank you.
Eventually, she just looks at her watch and goes, well, my time here on Earth is done. Just kidding.
It drops dead.
Well, my time is here. I gotta go catch my bus. She says bye and walks towards my house. I relight my blunt, reach for my phone, and look in her general direction to see if she was still walking, and nope, gone. To this day, freaks me out, but also made me believe in God again. I really didn't know my grandma, but from our pictures together, I can tell she loved me a lot.
I bet she walked into the tree line. There must be a tree line of people
group,
dwellers.
Yeah. They're just they're called the bushwalkers.
They have random talks to people and just run back into the trees.
Some of them like to get some meals. Some like to say, you don't want to see this, big boy. Gotta catch my bus, which is back here in the bushes.
Okay, this one is from Connect Giraffe. As a child, I used to play outdoors with my childhood best friend, Kyle. We would either knock on each other's door and ask, can so-and-so come out to play? Or we would hear each other in our respective front yards and come outside. One day, when I was about 10, I walked outside into my driveway because I thought I heard Kyle outside. I called out to him, and a little girl about my age came from around the back of the house instead. I learned her name was Amaya. She told me she was going to be there all day because she's waiting for her mom to pick her up. I asked her if Kyle was coming, but she said no. Kyle didn't technically live next door, his grandmother did, so it's not uncommon for him to not be on the block for days because he's at home. So we spent the whole day playing. I can't remember the exact time, but I know it was from the hottest point in the day to when the sun almost began to set.
I miss being a kid.
Yeah, right.
Remember the simplest times of just going out playing with friends all day long?
I was like, let's get some chalk and kill some ants.
Yeah.
Creepy sociopath music background.
I pee my pants in bed.
Let's burn some ants with that magnifier you got.
You got any matches? I think you're a serial killer.
Matches?
No, but seriously, being a kid is so not stressful.
It's not.
You play all day. Now I'm bills.
All right.
Car payments.
It was a peak of summer, so that meant we were outside for hours. We spent the first half of our day inside of my garage playing because it was cool. And as outside began to get cooler, we moved our shenanigans out into my driveway. After a couple of years,
Wow.
After a couple of hours, she said that she had to go because her mom was coming soon.
Gross.
I hugged her, really sad that my new cool friend was leaving, but I figured she must be related to my neighbors in some way, so I'd be seeing her again.
Foreshadowing, he's never going to see her again.
Yep, she was dead, yeah. The next day, Kyle's mom dropped him off at his grandma's, so I came outside to play. I asked him when Amaya was coming back. Kyle said, "Who's Amaya?"
Who the fuck is Amaya?
I thought he was just being annoying.
You're just being annoying, Kyle.
But by us going back and forth, I realized he really didn't know who Amaya was. I told him she had a blue top and blue khakis yesterday, and her hair was in 3 large twists with a pink bobos. Kyle insisted he didn't know who I was talking about. I asked my brother, who was 5 years his senior. He didn't know who I was referring to either. A little creeped out, I asked my parents, wasn't I playing with a girl yesterday? My mom and dad had no idea what girl I was talking to. They thought I was outside in the garage playing by myself. As a last resort, I asked Kyle's grandma. She told me there was no little girl there yesterday. She was home with her husband and she doesn't know little girl by that name.
What the hell?
To this day, Kyle swears he does not know who I'm talking about. I don't know what to make of the situation. I know I played outside with that girl. We jumped rope, we blew bubbles, We played hand numbers. No one knows a little girl named Amaya, but I spent the whole day with her.
That would be so frustrating.
That would be,
To know that you did something and everyone's like, no, you didn't. His parents like, oh, you slept all day in the room. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Well, it feels so good to be back behind the microphones again, I gotta tell you.
It really does. And I will say I'm a little bit sad because we were paging 100 subscribers by the end of the year. We might not make it. I hope we do. But if you are listening and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, and share, as that helps us grow our channel.
Right. And we don't plan on disappearing again. Just know that if we don't record, obviously something big happened. We like to try and be as prepared as possible, but in this day and age, shit just happens at the drop of a hat.
And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.